Welcome back to another episode of the VHS Vault. I'm Jason, and, well, that's Jason. Hello. He's man a few words, this Jason. Anyway, welcome. And if you haven't guessed by now, the subject matter we're talking about this week, yes, is Friday the 13th. Part 5, but really
It was me the whole time.
It was Jason the whole time. Yes, we're talking Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Here we are. Can't believe we're at number 5 already.
We're not even halfway done, though.
We are not halfway
That's the beauty of it all.
Now, last time we had done the final chapter, I made a point, and I think you probably agree that was the end of Mortal Jason.
Yes.
Right? And we're coming up to Zombie Jason era.
Yes,
But
my
right
favorite.
in this film here, it's right in the middle. So what would you classify this one as?
I think
Almost like an
fake Jason. It's fake Jason because they were
Fake
going to
Jason.
go off into a different direction. Because it's spoilers, obviously. But it's heavily implied that Tommy is going to be the new Jason at the end of this movie. And after that, they just thought,
Heavily implied.
nah, let's not do that.
Yeah,
Which
let's
I think
do
was
that.
good.
Well, there's
Good
some
point.
big continuity issues that they say in this film, which causes, well, it's complete garbage because, in the next movie. And that is Jason's been cremated. He's a pile of ashes,
Yes.
which is completely
Well,
untrue.
Who hasn't accidentally cremated the wrong body at some point or another?
At some point. I'm sorry. Now, yes, I would consider the fake Jason movie. But they don't hide it. They don't come out and say it, but they don't hide it. And they do a very simple trick here to let the audience know, and that this isn't the Jason that we know. And that's the
yes.
mask.
Yeah.
Right? The mask is different. It's got a blue. And they show that up front. In fact, when the title of this movie comes up, Jason, it shows you that's not the same mask. A New Beginning. The film tells you this isn't the same Jason Voorhees.
The movie doesn't even have part 5 in the title. It's literally Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. I don't know. I guess they added part 5 onto the posters, and that's what we call it. But it's actually just Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. No part 5.
Now, I'm not going to go back over, and I think at this point in the last 4 films, we've established that at this point we're watching them on VHS. As they're coming out, we're seeing them on VHS. That's fair to say, isn't it, Jason?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
This
so.
was another Showtime movie for me. That's where I got all my Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
movies
sorry, yeah,
from, was
it's that
Showtime.
era. It's cable or it's VHS, one or
Yes.
the other.
I don't think I saw one on VHS until part 8.
Wow.
That's how. I'm sorry, part 7. That's how behind on the times I was.
Wow. Well, you are Texas. I just assume you're out on a ranch somewhere,
Well,
300 miles from the
one of them
local
blew in on
blockbuster.
one of them blew in on a twister one day. Like, huh, look at this, honey. Them made another Friday the 13th movie. I wonder
Well,
if
mate.
I wonder if they're finally going to get that son gun who's wearing that hockey mask.
Well, for us, mate, we just rode a kangaroo to ours because they were really handy because you could put all the movies in their pouch on the way home.
It'd come out a little gooey, but they'd still be okay, I guess.
The covers were good. All right, so yeah, they pretty well put it out there. However, the movie doesn't adhere to its own rules generally in regards to telling you it's not the same Jason visually, but then trying to convince you most of the movie that it is.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a
and
very
kinda works
mixed.
against
It's a very
mixed.
mixed movie, I think.
Yeah. But there's some real, the things I've been saying in the last movies, Jason, how I was like, oh my God, my memories of number 3 and number 4, they were amazing. And now we've gone back and they're not so, what was I thinking? And the same things happened with this movie from an opposite scale. I remember just avoiding this movie when I would watch all the Jason movies over the years and just skip this one because I had projected this very strong hatred for it. And then when I went back and saw it like last night, literally watching it last night, I come to appreciate quite a bit about this movie. And this movie has got criticism maybe is a bit harsh, really. Like, it's known throughout the ether of being a horrible movie, but there are worse movies in this franchise than number 5.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to say something potentially blasphemous right now, but I actually think number 5 is one of the strongest ones that I've seen so far.
I do
I'm sorry,
too.
it is. As far as the acting goes and the cinematography, the script is weak, but the script has been weak for all of them, to be honest. None of them have had good
Yeah,
writing.
I think number two's probably got the most cohesive, like, script, far as I'm
Quite likely.
concerned. Yeah, but
But
I agree with you. There is a
I
lot of
honestly,
good
yeah,
points.
it's one of the strongest ones right here, and
Yeah.
I will gladly die on that hill until we see the next one because the next one's my favorite.
There you go. There you go. So, again, what a shocker. You go back and you look at these films and it's not what you remember, you know? And that's been a great surprise because I was dreading seeing this one, to be honest with you. This was the one I was like, just going to get over 5 and then we can get into the zombie era and all is good. And, 6, 7, 8 I could deal with, and then I'll get over number 9 when I have to. But yeah, shockingly enjoyable. But do you have any background info on this one, Jace?
Oh, I have quite a bit. I call this one the Unfeldman because Corey Feldman was a highlight of the last movie. He was unable to reprise his role in this movie because he was filming this little rinky-dink movie I don't think anybody's ever heard of called The Goonies.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Don't think it made much money.
yeah, I don't know if anything ever came from that. I'm sure that none of the actors in that movie ever won Academy Awards or anything.
Yeah.
But he was filming The Goonies. He could not reprise his role, but he did do a cameo at the very beginning where he says no, and that's about it. And I will also say that little cameo at the beginning, Feldman brought it again. He didn't have to, but he brought it. He did an amazing job in those few seconds he was given. And then we're introduced to John Shepherd is this actor's name. He plays grown-up Tommy Jarvis. The second of 3 people to play Tommy Jarvis, as a matter of fact. There is kind of a sad story behind this young man taking this part. He believed that he was being cast in a movie called Repetition.
Right.
And that was the filming title for Friday the 13th Part 5. And that was a self-depreciating in-joke on the part of the producer. We're calling this movie Repetition because we're doing the same thing over again. John Shepherd, to prepare for his role as a troubled young man, volunteered in a state mental hospital for months to prepare for this role, showed up on set, and then was, quote, very disappointed only to discover that Repetition was actually the 5th entry in the Friday the 13th series. Some of the actors put it together that this was a Friday the 13th movie, but some of them did not know that they were going to be in a Friday the 13th movie until the stuntman walked by wearing the Jason costume.
I suppose a lot of they were locking down scripts in that because they weren't really making it public then for a reason. The studio must have been a bit, overprotective on the old franchise. Oh my, John Shepherd, can I just say before we get into this film, he's very strong in this.
He is.
The kid can act.
As I said, this movie has some of the strongest acting that we've seen in a Friday the 13th movie. You've got John Shepherd. I did not write down the actress's name, but the final girl in this movie is an incredible actress. Yes.
Pam Roberts, her character's name, isn't it Pam Roberts?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
But Miguel A. Nunez Jr. has a cameo in this movie. And I think Miguel A. Nunez Jr. is one of the most underappreciated talents of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
Well, it was the 80s, so he was obligated to be in every single film in that period.
Yes, and he was in one of my favorite movies of all time, along with The Final Girl, I believe. They were in A Return of the Living Dead together. And, of course, the legendary, the award-winning, the $500 billion movie that won all the Academy Awards, Juwanna Man. Juwanna Man. Whenever you watch Juwanna Man, you're just like, why did this movie get made? Oh, it's because Mr. Nunez needed a paycheck. And that's fine. Yes. You know what? Let's give Mr. Nunez all the paychecks. But
he's
yeah,
wonderful.
There is some
Wonderful,
extraordinarily good acting in this movie that, quite frankly, did not deserve this acting, because some of these characters are just the worst.
Well,
Absolutely the worst.
yeah, but you take some curves with some of these characters. I mean, we have our stereotypical templates from every film that we must bring around. That's the dare I say it, the horny couple. We've got to have them.
Yes.
We've got to have the nerd. You've
Yes.
got to have the socially awkward nerd. We've got one of them. We don't really have this time the virginal, pure female character. We don't really have that. I think Pam Roberts represents that more in it. But yeah, I mean, and the other nerd in this film, I'm just going to put it out there. The fact that this movie turns in such a way that we see Vic make that other guy mincemeat in this movie was like, I'd forgotten about that scene, and I'm going, wow, how refreshing is this? We're getting murders outside of Jason, and it's throwing the movie into a point of almost confusion for an audience member, because you're going, what's going on here?
That was very shocking, yes. And I also have to say, as I pointed out to you earlier, this is the only Friday the 13th movie where a killer actually gets arrested.
Yeah. And I know I've already ran this joke into the ground with you, but I'm saying it for the audience anyway. I got big Scooby-Doo vibes at the end of this film.
Oh, yeah.
When we see Roy. Yeah. Which, hey, look, it's telegraphed. There's no way you couldn't pick up what was going on. Because essentially the moment they go to that kid's body, which is... The humour in this film is as black as night too. I've got to point that out, because and I'm jumping around here, but I can't help it. But we're talking about Roy when he does die, the mask, and it looks like a Scooby-Doo villain. But when they introduce the fact, he gives this look to camera when he turns up on that body, and it's this look here, and that's just the end of the film. There's no mystery at this point, right?
He should have been a bigger part of the movie, I think. If he was going to be the killer, he should have been more involved. Quite honestly, and I know that this would have completely destroyed one of my favorite Friday the 13th movie that comes up next. Tommy should have been the killer. I think it should have been one of those things where he was seeing Jason, and they put just enough doubt in your mind that, maybe it's somebody else, but at the end it's him. And he's had like a psychotic break. They should have done that.
Yeah, he's turning like Gollum from the Two Towers. He's like a total split personality thing.
Yeah, I think that would have been better.
I do too. I think so too. However, I'm not against Tommy as a character.
No, I love Tommy Jarvis, and as much as I love John Shepard, as much as I love him in this role, Tom Matthews in the next movie takes him to a new level, and I just love the character. I wish they'd brought him back.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, now that you mentioned that about John Shepard and the prep he did, he's playing out what he prepped for.
Yes,
that's what I'm thinking now in this film. So, whatever direction he was given, he was going to play the serious, dramatic, trauma, mental health patient. That's his thing, and really, this movie needs more than that. Really,
it does.
Because as strong he is as a performer, and I do not deny the way he carries himself with the choices he's made, is very professional. The problem is the character he's just not likable in this film at all.
He's not, but I think that at least with his case, you understand where he's coming from. You understand.
Well, they really hammer that down. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing with Tommy Jarvis, I mean, we could get into the plot, and we will as we go through this film. There's gaping holes. He disappears for 20 minutes, unexplained. I need you to explain to me what happened to Tommy Jarvis.
He was wearing the hockey mask and killing people. That's what happened to him, but they chickened out at the last minute. That's my theory. If he really was the killer, who's the first person that gets killed after his last scene where he beats up the hillbilly? The hillbilly gets killed.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. He goes and he attacks.
Did you mean Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt? What?
Yeah. You have a look at that hillbilly, right, at the bike. He's a fat Chris Pratt. That's like Parks and Rec Chris Pratt. I kept looking at him going, I didn't know Chris Pratt was in this movie. But he's
think Chris
playing
Pratt
the
was
son of a
maybe-
hillbilly
I
queen.
think Chris Pratt was maybe 7 when this movie came
Oh,
out.
yeah, I know.
if
I'm
that
kidding.
much.
He just looks like Chris Pratt to me.
I don't see it. I'll have to take your word on that.
Hey, man, but I don't want to hear one bad word about Ethel. Ethel rocks in this movie. I love
Ethel
that actress.
was the only bad thing I have to say about Ethel and her son is that they almost feel like they belong in another movie.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they are
And there's
so
a few
they're,
of them.
They're tonally off.
And there's so many. And like this show's going all over the place, but I don't care.
Yeah.
What's with the greasers?
I know.
I thought, are
but
we doing a flashback to 1957?
Yeah, it was
I mean,
so
even though he's wearing
weird.
the wild one cap, like,
It was. I actually made a note about that. Was why is this one portion of the movie taking place in 1957?
exactly. And why are they in the movie? And how do they project the movie forward by them dying?
They don't. This movie is all about
At
killing
all.
people. There are characters who are introduced for the sole purpose of just getting killed off in the next scene, or sometimes even in the same scene. The
Yeah.
guy who shows up at Ethel's cabin and says, "I'm hungry. Can I work for food?" You almost get the sense that he's going to be set up as a major character, maybe even the hero of the movie. But nope, he dies in literally the next scene, and there was no reason for him to be in the movie at all.
Can I bring up that scene you're referring to where we find him being a bit of a peeping Tom? That whole intimacy scene between the couple, apparently, that was a lot longer version of that scene.
It was almost 3 minutes long, according to some reports.
And so they shredded it, didn't they? They had to cut it down.
They did.
The governing body there, the MPAA.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th producer, Mark Mancuso Jr., did not get along with the director at all. The director's name was Danny Steinman.
Yeah.
And he called Steinman a pervert who was turning the movie into a softcore porn sex movie. And so
I thought it was too long in the film. So
I
who
agree.
knows what it would have been if it was left uncut.
There was a lot of gratuitousness in this movie, more so than any of the other ones. I mean, a woman randomly flashes a mirror at one point, which apparently was not in the script. She just did it. So it was apparently fireworks behind the set. The director was also propositioning an actress at one point, according to some accounts. Which,
no.
I can't speak to the truth of that. I don't know what happened. I can tell you that
probably,
the director had an accident on a motorcycle after this movie, and he never directed again.
Well, that scenario is not like it's unheard of in that period.
No, unfortunately, it's not.
So, with that, with Roy, the whole concept for you, Jason, of making a fake Jason, does it even work on the basic level for you? Because
I think on a basic level, yeah, I think it would work because they were looking for some kind of continuation. As I said, I think that their plan, well, it's pretty obvious. Their plan was that Tommy would have a mental break and become the new Jason.
we set it up in part 4.
Yeah, they set that up in part 4. They were going through with it in part 5. And I think that if they had stuck with their guns in part 6, it would have been a serious slasher movie and not the good-natured, funny slasher movie that we ended up with. That to me works best for Friday the 13th.
But see,
would it
now
have
you got
worked?
me
I don't
thinking.
know. But
see, yeah,
that's where they were going.
You got me thinking now, like, at what point did they change gears and go with Roy? Because it feels like there were scenes shot specifically that Tommy would be the killer. Like we said, he disappears for a chunk of this film. We see him anger, like, very quickly. So I wonder, it is like they're 3 weeks into filming and decide to change it up.
I think that's what happened, to be honest. Now, according to the things that I read, they did intend for Tommy to be the killer in the movie, but then they apparently interviewed some fans or did some focus groups and found out that the fans wanted Jason Voorhees back. And then, well, it's a Friday the 13th movie. We're not going to die on this hill. Let's bring Jason back.
See, they went 40% Fight Club, didn't they? They just should have gone 100% Fight Club.
I think it would have been so much better if they had.
Because you would have had the classic-looking Jason. So we, as the audience, would have seen, well, that's Jason Voorhees with the cut mark, all that kind of thing. That's the red little thing on it. That's Jason we know. but really at the end of it being revealed, just like Fight Club, that basically it's been him all along.
Yeah, I think it would have been a stronger movie. It would have destroyed part 6, but it would have been
destroyed that
part
character.
5 would have been stronger, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, I want to go back. We get the classical. I like the idea of Tommy going to a place that's a bit more relaxed for it. It's really still an institution, but it's more like a farm institution in a way.
Yeah,
it's a halfway house, maybe called a halfway house. Safe.
I guess that's what you would call it. I like the fact that you're seeing fallout for a character. That it's not just a character who makes a cameo in the next sequel only to die. This is something that he's going to carry with him for the rest of his life, and he is a psychologically damaged person. Tommy only has 24 words of dialogue in this entire movie, if you can believe that, because he just doesn't talk. You can tell he's haunted.
Yeah, absolutely. He opens up to Reggie more than anyone else in this film.
Yes,
he only says about 3 lines to him, so we'll get into Reggie kind of in a minute. But I like the idea of it. I did think as the car's driving up in the beginning, I'm like, of all places, you're going to take him to a farm near a lake. Like, whoever booked this in maybe should have sent him to the snow or the beach somewhere.
Now,
it wasn't so visually
Lake,
familiar.
Though? Was it Crystal Lake or was it a different lake?
It was a different lake, but it's still,
okay.
We're in a very familiar looking environment with a very familiar looking things.
The same exact triggering. Barn.
Yeah. It could be just a tad triggering for him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. See, this is where they kind of, like that opening scene with Tommy, as you mentioned, is really strong. I like that with Corey Feldman, because he looked like as I would look in that scenario, scared shitless.
Yes. I do think that there is something funny about that opening thing, is that you have 2 of the most enthusiastic grave robbers that I've ever seen. And whenever they open up the grave, they're shocked that there's a body inside of it.
I know.
But mind
you,
Andy?
It's the shallowest grave ever dug for a body in a coffin. Because they put the shovel in 3 times and then they're hitting wood. So someone was lazy at that graveyard.
Here's a fun fact for you. We've been finding little links between the movies that we do here on the VHS Vault. And there's a link between this movie and the Cannonball Run.
Oh,
because the wig that Ethel wears was a wig given to actress Carol Locatel by Burt Reynolds. They worked together on a movie, and he gave her a wig to wear. And she brought it to the audition. They said, "Oh, we love the wig." And she thought, well, they're going to give her a wig. And they're like, "No, bring that wig up here. You're going to use it. You're going to wear it in the movie." And she did. And unfortunately, somebody from the makeup crew stole it from her.
Oh,
so her hair is still floating around somewhere.
She's very familiar to me. I can't pick her in other movies. You mentioning that she worked on a film with Burt Reynolds, I go, okay, yeah. I feel like I've seen her in one of his films. But she's a great character actor.
She is. And as much as Ethel seems out of place in this movie, I laugh at every single line of dialogue she has because she's so verbally abusive to her son. And her son is basically just a cartoon character. So you laugh it off.
Yeah.
But every single line she gives,
she's playing up that camp.
She really is, and it works. Yeah. You can kind of see the direction they start going with the later movies, how they start leaning into the camp and the humor more. You can see the seeds of it being planted here.
Yeah. Now, kills, right? To me, the strongest kill was Vic. I'm going to say this about this film. I know Tom Savini's involved, but this is not, for me, has some good kills, but nothing really excites me in the kill factor in this movie.
There's one.
In fact, there's several that cut away and actually don't show the actual kill.
There's one that works because they did have to cut away, and it's the death of Tina, the one who has the roll in the hay out in the woods, because she's laying there on the towel. She's got her eyes closed. She opens her eyes. And she screams, and there's fake Jason with the garden shears. You don't ever see the shears make eye contact. You never see them make contact, but they just stab down, and then he crunch. That crunching sound effect just sells that whole scene.
You've got me over a barrel here. that was a great kill. I retract my statement because it's also followed up with a really good kill straight after that, and that's the leather belt.
Yes, the leather belt.
I like that kill because it was
That
different.
was great.
It was interesting.
Even though he was twisting the belt clockwise in one shot and counterclockwise in the other shot, which is a huge continuity error and shouldn't have happened, it was a great kill.
It's a great kill, and continuity schmontinuity. That's the phrase of the producers. Hey, did Grandpa die the same way? Because it looked like he did.
I'm guessing so.
Because
Honestly,
when they get thrown through the window, he has the same thing across his eyes.
it could be, real Jason has a machete. This guy likes garden shears. I don't know. Honestly, I did not like the granddad character. I was not sad to see him go. I was actually kind of happy they killed him off.
What's the deal with him? Like,
he was
like
just
when
mean.
Reggie goes up to him and wants to see his brother, and then goes, "Oh, well, we'll see." And the kid goes, sits down, and he immediately starts laughing and giving him a hug. Doesn't say to the kid, "You can go see your brother." And he's like, and I'm like, "Grandpa, were you just messing with him on purpose then?"
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. The thing that got me not liking the granddad is right after Joey dies and the punk chick sets a extra place and forgetting that Joey's not there. And he just makes, I thought it was just an inappropriate, heartless comment about, yeah, he ain't going to be coming back up here anytime soon. And I'm just like, kill him. It was needless and it was rude. And, you had some of the characters who were being mean to the girl for setting the extra plate, but you could understand where they were coming from. This is an elder man who should know better.
Man, if you're
things like that,
that's it. But if you're going to attack that goth girl on anything, we attack her on her popping and locking later in the movie.
Oh yes,
which to me is the point when I'm seeing her doing her interpretive dance sequence. I'm like, no, she has to die.
She has to die.
So the crime against dance, she has to die.
There are lots of questionable moments in this movie, and that is definitely one of them.
And really bizarre and off kilter, and it isn't just a one shot. They cut 4 or 5 edits shots of her doing that. It goes for 30 seconds, her dancing.
I guess if the director couldn't put all the nudity in the movie, he has to get his rocks off somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Jason does proves to be, even fake Jason takes the time to stack bodies on top of each other.
Yeah, and he's got some strength. He's got some good upper body strength. He can throw old men through windows. He can pick up people with one arm. It's just he's got that strange gorilla strength, and I don't understand where it comes from. Let me try. I can maybe if I put this on, maybe I can. I can pick up people with one hand.
Maybe you can.
I got little twig arms though. I don't know. How
but Roy goes the extra mile, remember, because Roy takes the time to go get a rubber head mask. Doesn't he? Well, when he gets revealed at the end, it's Roy. He's wearing a skull cap.
Oh yes. He so apparently he ran into Tom Savini, and Tom Savini gave him some tips. I don't know.
Everyone in the Friday universe is naturally an excellent special effects makeup artist.
Oh, of course. Tommy Jarvis is making Hollywood style masks, which now they're not Hollywood style masks. Now they're masks that he went and got at Spencer's.
Yeah,
they had to save that budget somewhere. But everybody's got weird talents in these movies.
I didn't like the last scene. To me, it was garbage. You set this feel like that he's a survivor, and now we're going to twist it. And how do you explain in a movie with gaping holes? The most obvious one is, why does he have the mask in his drawer?
I like to think it's a dream sequence. I don't.
I hope it is. I'm starting to have to. The only way I can reconcile with the endings of these movies is that we finish on endings. But it gives you a misdirect because we get this scene where he wakes up and stabs her. Remember this?
Yeah,
and then wakes up. So you're thinking, oh, that's the dream sequence already done now.
This movie has more endings than Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's Inception live dream states, Inception level dream states. Like, they've gone for Leonardo DiCaprio's in the next level in dream state in this movie.
Absolutely. So, Leonardo DiCaprio's wearing the hockey mask.
Yeah.
Have you seen Rose?
I didn't like the way
Roy
moves.
A bear.
I think
you didn't like what?
I think this is the least Jason-like physical performance, movement-wise.
Yeah, and I can I can understand that. Yes.
I don't like the way he walks. I don't like his physicality at all. And I feel I can see the difference in a lot of those movies previously from one Jason actor to the other. I do like number 3 physical performance of Jason. I think that's quite strong, but they get better. Number 6, it's the start of his run. What's the name of the actor who plays Jason in the 3 films?
Oh my goodness, I've met him.
Is it
What
Kane
his
Hodder?
name? Kane Hodder, who is
Kane
a
Hodder.
super nice person, by the way.
And the best Jason ever.
I agree.
So,
He's got the physicality. He's got he's got that unnatural movement, which is due to the scar tissue on his neck. He can't move his neck like all the way around, but it brings so much to that performance.
Perfectly, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to the Kane Hodder era. So we get to our darkest interpretation in the way of quality in this one to probably the best in the next one.
Whenever the movies embrace the goofiness of the entire plot, they become better. It's the same thing with Child's Play. When Child's Play embraced the goofiness of a killer foul-mouthed doll and just said, "This is stupid. We're gonna have fun with it." They had fun with it, and the movies got better. Same thing with this. Yeah, we got a guy in a hockey mask killing people who are having sex in the woods. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah,
and they did. They had fun with it, and they crank out the next movie, which is, in my opinion, the best one.
Reggie, he came straight from the set of Swamp Thing. Clearly,
it seems like it, doesn't he?
Well, this is an archetype I'm starting to notice now, isn't it?
In the early '80s, there was an archetype of the juvenile black sidekick. That we saw in a lot of movies. Now, I will say that Reggie is probably one of the better ones. The actor I thought was very talented, and he was not useless. He was intelligent. He had a need to be wanted and accepted, I believe. And so there was more to this character than just being the sassy black kid. He was his own person. And so I do want to say, this Reggie was a good character. I just adore that scene when the final girl's running from Jason and Reggie bursts out of the barn in the earth mover and Jason stares at him for at least 7 seconds without moving. It reminded me of that scene in Austin Powers where Austin is coming towards the guy with the steamroller and the guy's on the other side of the room going, "No!" And the guy has literal 2 minutes to run. And he
the editor didn't go in and cut that down. It's worse though, Jason, because prior to that moment, we have to watch Pam, right? Who, for some reason, as my wife points out, nobody wears bras in Friday the 13th universe, mind you.
Well, no,
even our main character has to be in a white shirt, which gets wet. It's completely see-through, unnecessary.
We've pretty much established that the director of this movie was a pervert.
There's no doubt, and that scene particularly. But we linger on her screaming for, it felt like a minute, her running, not just one shot of her running through there's about 4 or 5 individual long shots of her running through the woods, looking back and screaming. And so by the time we get to that moment with the tractor and that guy doing what you just said, it's just like, my God, there is no. You've just taken any tension that you had built up to that point, you've just sucked it out. To the point when Reggie does come out with the tractor, great moment for Reggie, but there's nothing exciting about it.
No, there's not. I mean, it was a great Reggie moment, but the editing at the end of this movie is pitiful. Absolutely pitiful.
I get the feeling the editor went, I'm not getting my paycheck. All right, I'm walking, and they've got the guy getting the coffee to finish this off.
You mean to tell me that sex scene you had me spend days editing, I have to cut it down to nothing? I quit.
Look, I'll tell you what I'm really shocked about. You make this movie, you release this movie. This is one of the lowest grossing ones. How does Paramount not sell it off now? Like, the fact that it stayed with Paramount Pictures for another 3 movies before it moves to New Line, to me is incredible, because after this film, I would have had a vote of no confidence in this franchise.
Well, here's the thing, though. It did not make as much money, but it still made money.
And they
It made
kick butt on video,
dollar
don't
bills,
they?
y'all. It did not start losing money until part 8. And that's when Paramount got rid of it. Because as soon as it didn't make money, they were like, nope, we don't want it anymore. Because they'd always been kind of embarrassed by it. But
And
it
the
was
thing
always a
is,
guaranteed moneymaker.
and the thing is, in this period in the 80s, you'd make a film at a medium to low budget, and even if you don't make what you need at the cinema, it was the new era of home video. So they're getting the second wave of profits, and a lot of these movies continue it on in their franchises, most of the time based on what they were making from home video than what they were making at the cinema, and certainly Friday the 13th benefited from that quite a lot. Battle Cat.
Ow.
She just attacked you. Yeah.
She decided to climb up my back. That little tiny claws.
What's that? No, well,
she heard that we were talking about people dying, and she wanted.
She wanted in on that. How can I help? Yeah, look. At the end of the day, it was a poor choice of director. There's no doubt about that. That was a poor choice of director. A confused film that is trying something new but really fell on its flat. Like, there are times where you go, if they did this, like we've talked about Tommy, great idea. If you really went to a serious kind of almost Psycho 2 element of we're dealing with someone on the other side of trauma, where they think they're rehabilitated but they're not, like, I'm in for that as well. So, but they go a little bit in those ways, but they never pull off anything. As for all these side characters, who cares, honestly? Do I care about John Cryer Wannabe? No, I don't. I don't at all. Though he has a sad death, doesn't he? Because he tries to make an attempt to get attracted to somebody, goes upstairs, is crying, and then dies straight away. And then the girl goes up to them, admits that she did like him, she'd made a mistake, gets into bed, and Jason has neatly, because he's a fan of The Godfather, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Neatly taken the head of John Cryer Wannabe and put him right next to the...
Do you think that Jason, like, do you think he's ever moved a body hoping that somebody can discover it and they don't notice it, so he's got to pick the body up and move it somewhere else? Just like very quickly
I like
behind the
to
scenes.
think there should be a skit where we get to see behind the scenes of Jason positioning the body based on the feng shui of the room.
Oh, sure. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I don't
we-
know about this, the energy of the room. Is it going to look good? What are they going to think when they come in? You know?
Plus, we also have to point out that this is, strangely enough, the third time in this movie series so far that somebody has met their end by being stabbed from underneath a mattress.
Yeah. There's a couple of tropes that make it through. That's one of them. The thrown through when Grandpa gets thrown through the window.
Yeah, bodies are going to get thrown through the
window. That's a trope. There's a few hatchet faces, but we don't get to see the result. But there is a couple of hatchet faces. Hey, I've got a bit of an Aussie trivia for you though. In this, remember the scene where we've got Poppin' and Lock and Goth Girl?
Yes.
The song that she was listening to is from a Melbourne band called Pseudo Echo, a very famous Australian pop band from the 1980s. And
the royalties must have been very low over here. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So it was interesting that was the song. I didn't pick that. Again, my wife, who's been rewatching with the film, she goes, that's from the... You know, she was big into the pop 80s thing because that's when she grew up. She goes, oh, that's Pseudo Echo. That's from this album in 86. I'm like, what? Who are you again? Am I in the right house? I don't know. I would consider this probably better than number 3, but not as good as number 4. And 1 and 2, I think, are probably almost separate in a way because I actually think 2 is probably one of the really stronger ones I've seen early on now.
I would have to agree. I think out of the first 5, 2 is probably the best. 4, maybe over this one. Keep in mind, I really didn't like 4 that much either. Then
in
5,
comparison.
then 5, and then I think 3, and then 1. I think 1 is still the weakest one because it was.
Hey man, have we just come up with this the even number theory for Friday the 13th here?
Yeah, if it's a number. Under 5,
because 2,
it's
4, 6, 8, and 10.
Yeah.
10. I have a soft spot for 10, even though
I love 10. I think 10 is goofy, stupid fun.
Yeah, yeah. So, but there you go. Maybe it evens on it. Anyway, guys, that was it. I don't know much more to say. There's a chunk of stuff we haven't talked about, not because we didn't want to, it's because the film's kind of a little bit forgettable in that realm.
Yeah, it's not great.
But yeah, I'm glad that Tommy didn't die in the end, because I think Tommy as a character becomes really important to this franchise, and in number 6 we get to see that, you know. So, but it is a shame, because I would have loved to have seen that kid had another shot. Even though I prefer, like you said, the actor that does Tommy next week takes it to a next level for continuity's sake. Again, why am I asking this out of Friday the 13th? We've just talked about continuity, spontaneity.
You know, John Shepherd, amazing actor. I like Tom Matthews just because he was a more goofy character in the later movies. But I honestly think that if I don't know why he didn't reprise his role. I don't know if it was ever offered to him or if he just said no. But I think that if he had reprised his role in Part 6, I think he would have carried the movie. I think he would have been just fine.
Yeah, well, and you know, and we preview number 6, which we'll be watching in 2 weeks. You know, the other big strength of Jason Lives is it knows what film it is.
Yes, it
absolutely has its clear definition of the rules of its own universe, and it knows what type of movies it's trying to be, and in a way, number 2 had that as well, and number 4 not so as much. But I think 2 and 6 now, me looking forward, but mostly looking back, I think once the series understands what it is, it's okay.
Yeah, and I think I agree. I think next movie we get that, and again, next movie is my favorite, so I'm really looking forward to revisiting
Me too,
that
I'm
again.
pumped.
I just hope I don't watch it and go, "Oh my gosh, this movie really is trash."
Yeah,
because I honestly think my heart's going to break if that's the case.
I'm not a fan of. Sometimes I like film trash, but generally I just like to be entertained. So, you know what? Let's hope what we're about to do now doesn't lead to something that we don't like and something we do like as we move to the wheel, Jason. Here we are. The wheel. Now, what's the category here, mate, that we haven't landed on yet you'd like to land on this week?
I don't think we've landed on animated yet.
I was just about to say, I'd like to see an animated one.
Yeah. So
that'd be fun. Yeah. Or an action film.
We had Ator.
Yeah, but maybe something like a Commando or something. Something like cheesy.
I will have trouble with drama. I'm just not a big drama fan, but maybe we'll come up with one that I like. I don't know.
Who knows? Let's do it, eh? Let's find out what genre we're going to be looking from. Okay, let's have a look. Which slice of pie it'll land on? Well,
really,
we're back in horror, my friend.
Nice.
No.
All right.
It is what it is. All right, horror.
But
I love a good horror film. Let's do this. Open. And I don't think we've actually spun the horror wheel.
I don't think we have. No.
So let me just unhide so we can get some of these names. I don't know if you can see them. It's probably a bit blocky. But we have some really eclectic films. We go from classics like Evil Dead 2 to weird, quirky ones like Cat People and The Puppet Master and The Blob, which is an amazing remake.
The Howling 3.
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, that is.
I don't know if that's a horror film because it's supposed to be a horror. Well, the lawnmower bit's pretty cool, or it's just horrifically bad. But
a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Column B. Warlock. Oh my, Warlock. I remember that. I really loved it. Whatever. Did they find him in the end?
I don't think they found Julian Sands. I don't think I think he's pretty much presumed dead by this point. Which is a shame because he is such a talent. Yeah,
such a talent. So all of these films I've seen, and all of these films, mind you, up the top there, I can't really show, but there is American Werewolf in London. And
yes,
if you watched our Kentucky Fried Movie, like I would say it's John Landis's best film he's ever made. And certainly for me, the best werewolf film ever put on.
Yes, it's next level fun. It's never been topped, and I love it.
I tell you what, I've never seen Chud.
I've never seen Chud 1. I've seen Chud 2, but never Chud 1. So that'll be fun.
I've never seen it, so that'll be.
I've never seen Bad Taste all the way through either. So.
Oh no, I've seen all them, all of Peter Jackson's early horror films. Here was the thing. That's what stunned me. By the time he'd even made The Frighteners, I was well aware of Peter Jackson. So when Lord of the Rings come around, I know globally it was like, Peter who's making what in New Zealand? I was like, perfect choice. He's a great filmmaker.
Well, he did a good job until they hit The Hobbit.
Oh, yeah, we don't talk about them. Yeah. They don't exist. All right. It's that, and this rumors about this film called Rise of Skywalker doesn't exist.
I've never heard of that movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Oh, you are in for a treat, my friend. This is.
I have seen clips of it, but I have never seen this movie.
It is a masterpiece.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Jake. Well, if you were to compare it to another film, because I've not seen it, and I don't know why, it was just out of all the hundreds of movies that of that period horror, for some reason that slipped my boat. What would you compare it to? What's a film?
Gosh, what could I compare this to?
Just like tonally style. Was it just so unique?
I would say something along the lines of not Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just a Insidious Invaders from Mars movie where the aliens come down and nobody believes them.
Yeah,
just something like that.
Yeah, like a Critters or a but clowns.
Yeah, with clowns.
Well, I don't like clowns.
I don't like clowns either, but these guys.
So this should be great.
Yeah, this is fun. Yes.
All right. Well, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm thrilled it's a movie I haven't seen. So, and your reaction told me, Jason, you're pretty excited.
So we've got it's great. I own it on DVD. I love it.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah. Well, I have to, after each time we record these shows, I now have to go and report to my wife because she asked me, okay, what are we watching coming up? So I have to go and explain to my wife now, we're watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I love it. We're turning it into a thing where we actually go, all right, we're going to watch these movies. That's what I love about doing the show. It's forcing me to go back and find things I missed out on. You know? It just wasn't, none of my friends used to talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space and all that. I remember seeing the video cover on the shelf. Do you remember what year it came out?
I don't remember what year it came out, but I can tell you that I saw it on TV. Yeah. I think it was another TBS movie. And I remember watching the first few minutes of it thinking it was going to be like a Kentucky Fried movie where they were going to come in after about 10 minutes and go, haha, this was a joke. Now on to the next sketch.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, it's certainly right in the sweet spot of when I was at my most watching content. So I don't know why I didn't say it. 1988 it was made. So no actors that I know of at all. I think maybe John Allen Nelson looks familiar, but that's about it. So, yeah, no, can't wait to check it out. Can't believe it's that old. For some reason, I thought it was made in the 90s. But there you go. Killer Clowns of Outer Space it is, guys.
So excited.
All right, so that'll be our next VHS Vault the next week after this one is released. And then following that, we'll be doing Jason's Lives. So, guys, strap in. We've got a couple of big weeks coming out. Some really fun content to talk about. Battle Cat's more excited than either of us. Can I just say that? She is.
She's tasting me.
Yes, and now she's starting to draw the blood that she will eventually completely drain out of your body.
You know, I'm about to be 50, so there's a chance this cat will consume me when I die. So
yes, yes. Start with the face, maybe eat the nose.
Go for the soft parts first.
Yes, yes. You know, we don't want her to have bad tummy when she's eating the face.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, support us because we got nothing better going on. So we really need this. Of course, you can follow us on my TikTok and my Twitter at VHSJace_. And of course, you can find the great Jason Roy Gaston on TikTok. You can find Battle Cat on TikTok at the moment too. And the more you're watching of Battle Cat's inner thoughts, the more disturbing that cat is becoming every single day. So go watch them on TikTok.
She is a sociopath, yes.
Yes. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can find them there. Unbelievable content. Go check it out. And we'll see you guys next time in the VHS Vault. Say bye-bye, Battle Cat.